Hey everybody, it's Stephanie. Let's talk Pride and Prejudice. I'm so excited to share with you two projects that I fully finished that celebrate my favorite novel of all time, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I just finished my fourth read-through of the novel, and that's on top of multiple movie version watchings. I feel like I know this story in and out, and every single time I enjoy myself thoroughly. Like, the lines that made me laugh the first time are still making me laugh. I love this novel. It is the perfect blend of love story with humor and character development. It is just awesome. I had to celebrate it again in cross-stitch. So I hope you P&P fans will stick around, not only to look at my projects, which I want to show off, but let's have a little geek out about Pride and Prejudice in the comments. Tell me anything that you have to say about the novel, and I will thoroughly enjoy it. So how this video is going to work is that I'm going to show you my finishes really quickly on the bed because I have a hard time holding them up in the right spot. Then I'm going to give you a detailed overview of the first piece, and we're going to have a geeky discussion about the second. So let's get started. So the first piece I have to show you is the Bennet Family Sampler. Now, I used my favorite movie version of Pride and Prejudice, the 1995 Colin Firth edition, to use the actors as a base for all of these characters. I tried to really make them look recognizable. So you've got the whole family, Mr. and Mrs. Bennet, Jane and Elizabeth, and then Mary, Lydia, and Kitty. There's a lot of details in this that I just purposely did to show their quirks and their personality, so if you're interested in a more detailed overview, you can stay tuned. So the next piece, pardon the shaking, is the Pride and Prejudice Blessing. And I'll just read it to you really quick. I wrote this myself. It follows the tune of like a traditional Irish blessing, but of course it's completely Jane Austen. It says, "May the road rise up to meet you, and Netherfield Hall be let at last. May your friend be a Bingley, your lover always a Darcy. For every Lydia may you have a Jane, for every Collins a Charlotte, and may you dwell in Pemberley each day your whole life through." I'm not going to do a detailed overview of this one because there's not a lot to point out, but there's a beautiful bouquet right here. This does not have a lot of fractional. I don't think it has any fractionals in it, but all the letters are backstitched, and then there's, you know, some highlighted words. And then there's this floral garland on the top and on the bottom. And it coordinates well with the Bennet Family Sampler. They have a lot of similar colors, and then of course these flowers are the same on either piece. So, stay tuned for a detailed look at the Bennet Family Sampler. Flosstube friends, allow me to introduce you to the Bennet Family Sampler. I am very satisfied with the overall tone of this piece. So obviously it's not modeled to look like a historic sampler. The colors are way too vibrant and the people are too detailed. You would not mistake this for an old piece of embroidery. On the other hand, I didn't want to fall into it being too cartoony. And I don't think the people look too cartoony. They're obviously a little bit two-dimensional, but they have enough detail in them to be a little bit quirky and fun without falling into the range of a cartoon. So I think that this piece you can take pretty seriously, but I think there's a little bit of humor in it, and I think that's pretty reflective of Pride and Prejudice itself, so that makes me very happy. This piece is a 10 by 13, well I guess 13 by 10 inch piece when you stitch it over 28 count. So you can fit it in a standard size 10 by 13 inch frame. I put mine in an 11 by 14 and just gave it a little bit of wiggle room around the edges. This is stitched on 28 count antique white Lugana, but I think this would look great stitched in a variety of different colors. So we're just going to zoom in. I'm going to show you the different elements of the sampler. So the border is a mixture of full stitches, fractional stitches, and some black work. And it stitches up really quickly, but it makes the sampler look nice and full and detailed. You could definitely even add more color by filling in these little unfilled flowers, but I liked the I like black and white elements, so I just left those unfilled. Obviously the top says Bennett. And then you have all the names of the characters and Longbourn itself. Now all of the characters and the house are based on photo stills from the 1995 version of Pride and Prejudice, as I mentioned before. But I was thinking about this today, you know, I think this could easily substitute for the Keira Knightley version as well, if you like that one. The mom and dad and Jane and Elizabeth are pretty close to, I mean, that's kind of close to Keira Knightley. So with a little bit of imagination, you could definitely say this was from your favorite version of Pride and Prejudice. So here's the dad, and he is one of two characters who is not smiling for his portrait. He has way too much to worry about. I love his big, thick eye lines showing his anxiety, as well as his French knot buttons. Now throughout this, I might insert some pictures that I used to model these little portraits of the actual actors. Okay, here is Mrs. Bennet with her little bonnet strings hanging down, looking happy but slightly absurd. And that's pretty much a description of her. I love Mrs. Bennet. She is near and dear to my heart. Here's Jane with her beautiful eyelashes. And she looks modest, which is descriptive of Jane. She's beautiful, but she's not super aware of it. Here is Elizabeth, looking spunky and intelligent and like someone you would want to talk to if you were at a party with her. Okay, here's the Scarlet Woman, Lydia. She does not wear a red dress, I don't think, in the movie, but I wanted to be a little bit symbolic, and she is the bad girl who doesn't know how truly naive and bad she is. Here's Mary, and the reason Mary's smiling begs some explanation, because Mary does not smile. She does not have a sense of humor whatsoever. The reason Mary is smiling in this sampler is because she stitched it herself, Mary Bennett. Now, this is Mary's selfie, so this is how she sees herself, but not how she actually is. So she gave herself a smile, but we all know Mary ain't smiling. She kind of flattered herself there. And this is Kitty, and we all know Kitty is just continually put out. She does not get the privileges that her younger sister gets. She's not able to attract the boys as well as she, and her father cracks down on her after Lydia gets herself in such trouble. And she wants to go to Brighton, and she can't, and Lydia is just, you know, she is a whiner. So here's Lydia, looking put out. Alright, so on the bottom we have Longbourn, which is when it was stitched by Mary Bennett in 1813. 1813 is the year that Pride and Prejudice, the book, came out. Originally when I charted this, I even when I printed it out to stitch it myself, I had Lydia Bennett, and because she's the youngest, and I thought, you know, if anyone's going to be practicing the stitching at this level, it will be the youngest. And my husband said, you know, I don't think Lydia would even bother to learn to stitch. You know, they're not disciplined, they're not made to do things, and there's no way Lydia would stitch. So I made it Mary, and I absolutely had a happy attack when a few months later I found this picture of the cast of Pride and Prejudice, 1995 version, sitting down to stitch in between scenes. Check it out. Yes, that is the character that plays Mary Bennett, sitting there stitching. So I just love that detail that Mary stitched this sampler here, and Mary the actor was actually stitching. You could definitely substitute that with the year that you stitched it and your initials. I love this piece. I hope that you guys like it too. It was so much fun to stitch, and so much fun to think about as I stitched, and that's the Bennet Family Sampler. Okay, time for geeky literature discussion. I want to discuss The Blessing and why I wrote it the way I did. Because why not? It's Pride and Prejudice. Okay, so it starts off with the traditional Irish sort of blessing line. May the road rise up to meet you. And then it goes into, and Netherfield Hall be let at last. That, of course, is the line that Mrs. Bennet says at the beginning. She comes in to tell the family that Netherfield Hall has been let at last. And it's a huge opportunity for her unmarried girls to snag a man. May your friend be a Bingley. Obviously, there are a lot of great friend roles in Pride and Prejudice. There are a lot of upright characters that you would want to have as a friend, but Bingley fell into this spot because it was the best spot for him, and he is a great friend. Although he kind of unquestioningly follows advice a little too easily, he is very faithful to Darcy and his sisters, and so he got the friend role in The Blessing. Okay, may your friend be a Bingley, your lover always a Darcy. That line begs for no explanation. May your lover always be a Darcy. For every Lydia, may you have a Jane. Alright, we've all got Lydias in our lives, right? Lydia is pretty much nothing but a burden on her family and her sisters. She's very inconsiderate, very naive, very takes and doesn't give. So for every Lydia in your life, may you have a Jane. And Jane is the exact opposite of Lydia. She is very forgiving. She's very, she's a servant. She's very loving. She's very willing to think the best of everyone. She's literally the perfect sister. She pretty much has very few faults. Her only fault is that she's a little bit naive. She's so willing to believe good about everyone that she meets that she's kind of naive, but she is the perfect sister. So for every Lydia, may you have a Jane. And then this line I really want to explain. For every Collins, a Charlotte. I'd love to talk about this with you guys. For every Collins, a Charlotte. Now, why would that go in The Blessing? Because Mr. Collins is the most hysterically annoying person in the entire novel. And one of my favorite aspects of the story is how often he gets made fun of by Mr. Bennett, and he totally doesn't ever pick up on it. But, yes, Collins is awkward and annoying. So for every Collins, may there be a Charlotte. Now, Elizabeth in the novel does not understand why Charlotte would marry Mr. Collins. But she kind of comes to understand later in the novel that, you know what, Charlotte got what she wanted. She doesn't have the personality and the wants and the desires that Elizabeth has. And she's happy with Collins. And I think that's great. And there are people like that. You know, people have different needs, they have different personalities, and so for every annoying Mr. Collins, I think may there not be a satisfied Charlotte who takes care of him and is happy with her lot in life. What do you guys think? And then it ends, may you dwell in Pemberley each day your whole life through. Now, I wrote this, and then this is how deep Pride and Prejudice is in my blood. I wrote this, and then I realized Elizabeth isn't in this. Elizabeth is the main character. How is she not in this blessing that I wrote? And then I realized it makes the most sense that she's not in it, because these are the blessings of Elizabeth Bennet. Like, these are her advantages. These are the wonderful things that have been put in her life. And this blessing is just kind of conferring everything that she's got on the person that you are blessing. Get it? So, the blessings of Elizabeth Bennet. The title of this piece is The Pride and Prejudice Blessing. Yes, I know it's geeky. I totally love it, unashamedly. I hope you guys like it too. I would love to know any thoughts you have on Pride and Prejudice down below. Who are your favorite characters? What are your favorite lines? What are your favorite scenes? Who are your favorite actors that played certain roles? Pretty much anything and everything. Let's chat about it down below. You can find these patterns in my shop at lindystitches.com. I have patterns for both of them and kits for both of them. So check them out there. I'm on Instagram at Lindy Stitches. Thank you so much for your encouragement and support. I finished the Bennet Family Sampler last year, I want to say fall time. I finally finished it. You guys were so you're always so encouraging about anything that I just throw at the camera, and it's just a blessing. I'm so happy to have this little socialization, little cross-stitch support group community in my life. So thank you for the comments and the likes and the subscribes, and everybody who sent me a message just to say I like your videos and you made me happy today. It blesses me, and I'm just so grateful. I hope you're having a great summer. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.